Greetings again, good to see you once again. Today I'm actually quite excited to bring you today's video because I've got something for you that is working quite well for me to the extent that I'm seeing a profit on it almost every day. And that's not something I can say about too many betting systems, but when they can produce a profit almost every day, that's something to be excited about. Now, this one I've been working on and off for probably 2 months, so it's taken a fair bit of work to get here, so that's also part of the reason why I'm excited. It's a system today for greyhounds. It's another Dutching system. It's using the Double Dutch 2 Greyhounds bot, which I, of course, will link to in the description below, as usual. The other thing that actually makes this interesting and exciting to me is that the horse racing version of the Double Dutch bot was the first bot I actually ever tried using. It was an interesting experience in that I really hadn't done anything with bots before. So I was a little bit impatient with it, started off with a target that was a little bit too high and it didn't particularly go very well, and I didn't really look at it too much again after that. I moved on to other bots, and things went on from there. But it was a good introduction to bots and how they work. What I was excited about when Steve and Michael announced the Greyhound version of the Double Dutch bot a couple of months ago is that Greyhound racing compared to horse racing has much more limited field sizes. So with horses, you may have sometimes 16, 20 runners in a race. And with the Double Dutch system, you want to be able to select the winner in most of the races, the overwhelming majority of the races, really, which means you need a good portion of the field selected. That can be quite a lot of the field with horse racing. With greyhound racing, where you're looking at a maximum of 8 runners if it's Australia, New Zealand, or 6 runners if it's the UK, you really don't have to have that many selections, which keeps your Dutch sizes down, therefore keeping your stakes down a bit as well, which helps to control things a little bit, probably makes it a little bit easier to win, in theory at least. So I was certainly excited to see the Double Dutch 2 bot. Now, I was going to link to one of Steve's videos explaining how the Double Dutch system works, because in my mind I remember looking at a bunch of Steve's videos before I bought the Double Dutch horse bot in the first place, and I remember one where Steve goes to some detail in front of a whiteboard explaining how it works. I've looked, I can't find that video. I have found another video that has Steve explaining how the system works, not a lot of detail of the calculations, but a bit on how it works. I think what's happened is that in my mind I've conflated that video with some other videos I also looked at the time which were in front of a whiteboard. In fact, there is one Double Dutch video that is in front of a whiteboard, but it doesn't explain much. There's some other videos on some other systems that are in front of a whiteboard and go into quite some detail about calculations. So I think I've mixed it all up in my mind. So I won't link to any particular video, but I will, of course, link to the page for the Double Dutch 2 Greyhound bot, and Steve does have some good videos on there explaining how it works. Nonetheless, I do need to explain some of it, how it works to you, because otherwise the rest of this video is going to make no sense. So what I'm going to do is take a couple minutes here to explain some of how the system works, which is quite an ingenious system, really. Then I'm going to go through a few races with you, race by race. We'll see how the system works in practice as we go through from one race to the next. And later I'll show you some results from the testing I've been doing, the last few weeks worth of results in particular, once I settled on the current settings over the last few weeks, and a closer look at one day in particular, just to show you some nuance that will make a bit more sense once I've explained how things work. So let's take a look at how the Double Dutch 2 system works. So we have 2 Dutches being created per race, and that's where the name Double Dutch comes from, really. We have 2 Dutches created per race. Our runners are split across the 2 Dutches according to your settings. Now you can choose your settings. There's a lot of options as to how to formulate those. The bot will do its best to split the runners evenly across those Dutches. That won't necessarily be an equal number of runners per Dutch. You might find that you have 3 in one, 2 in another, or 4 in one and 2 in another. It's really going to be based less on the number of runners per Dutch, more on the prices and how much of the market they represent, so that you're not putting an equal number of runners, but hopefully getting an equal chance of a win in each Dutch. It's up to you to set the acceptable odds range and how the bot will treat the favourites. There's a number of options there. Maybe they go in one Dutch, maybe they go in both, maybe they don't go in any. Maybe there's some options to alternate the favourite into the Dutch that most needs a winner, and things like that. Lots and lots and lots of options. Now, as long as you're selecting the winner in most of the races and each Dutch is getting roughly equal, doesn't have to be perfect, but roughly equal number of winners, you're going to come out ahead. So let's have a look at how this worked in a race earlier today at Addington in New Zealand, which we will do, but first let's have a look at the settings I'm currently using in the bot. Getting ahead of myself. So this is what I'm setting here. Now, I'm doing New Zealand and Australia at the moment. I am looking at the UK as well, but not with this system. I've got a system I'm working on for the UK, still a little bit hit and miss, so not ready to bring that one to you just yet. The system I've got here for Australia and New Zealand does not work in the UK. I know, I tried it. It was not pretty. So don't use these settings in the UK. But for Australia and New Zealand, you can see we're looking at the win markets. My favourites, I'm only looking at the race if the favourite is under $3, because I want the favourite to have a good chance of winning the race. I'm not going under $1.25. You do find favourites, especially in some Greyhound races where the favourite's $1.10 or something like that. When you get really low-priced favourites, the Dutch tends to cost quite a bit to put on, so I don't think that's really worth it. For the rest of the runners in the Dutch, anywhere from $1.25 to $10 is fine by me. I'm looking at minimum of 4 runners, maximum of 8 runners. I want the Dutches to take no more than 90% of the race in terms of market value based on their prices. I'll come back to the transfer in a moment. The commission I've got set at 7%. That's a reasonable average on Australia and New Zealand races. They're a little bit all over the place depending on which state you're looking at, but 7% as an average overall seems to work pretty well. Tick offset I've got set at 2. That's so that the bot tries to place the bet slightly under their current price. It also does its calculations on that, which means that I'm actually more likely to get matched to start with, and it's more likely that I'm going to make slightly more than my profit target as well. I'm looking at the back 1-2 option, which means I'm putting the first and second favourite in each Dutch and splitting the rest of the field up to that $10 mark across the Dutches. I'm looking at a 10-cent target per race. I'm stopping each tab at $2. I tend to find there is a fair bit of overlapping races with waiting for results from previous races, and when you get a busy evening with Australia and New Zealand running at the same time, you get a lot of overlapping races. So I tend to find that it's good to stop the tabs when they reach a set target, so that tabs that have been running but not getting a lot of action, they can then carry on, and maybe they need a winner as well. The profit at all tabs are at 100. Well, I've not seen a $100 day yet. Be nice, hasn't happened yet. Stop loss is at $20, which is, where are we here? That would be, 400 times the per race target. I have the transfer here set at 1/4 of the stop loss. Now, the transfer system here, if you have one Dutch that's winning, one Dutch that's not winning, your target in the Dutch that's not winning is going to increase. So if that gets to $5 or more, then the bot is going to transfer half of that target to the other Dutch. So let's say you've got one Dutch that's been winning, the other, and Dutch 2 is not winning. Dutch 1 sitting there with its 10-cent target. Dutch 2, maybe it's up at $6. We'll transfer $3 of that over to Dutch 1. So you've got $3-ish target per Dutch. I find that this helps to slow down the stake increase, which gives you more time to make your profit target, to get the winners in each Dutch. Now, at this point in time, you might be looking at this and thinking, this sounds very similar to the previous system I had where I was Dutching the top 2 runners in the race. Truth is, it is a little bit similar. But because I've got the other runners in some of these Dutches, I actually find it is much more gentle in terms of the staking progression, and there's much more time allowed to reach a profit. So I'm actually finding this to be more stable than the top 2 Dutching system was. So in that regard, I'm actually quite happy. I find this to be a better system because I can have something that's 4th, 5th, maybe 6th favourite win the race, and it's still making some return for me, and it's getting me closer to my profit targets. Moving on back to this, you can see I'm happy to take any box. I'm not using a profit delta. I'm not using a set number of losses. It's the $20 stop loss there. So if we have a look at how this worked at a race earlier today at Addington in New Zealand, you can see this race had 8 dogs in it. Our favourites were number 3 Gold Star Summer and number 1 Colby Bun at $2.12 and $5.50 respectively. They got placed in both Dutches as per my settings. Then the rest of the runners up to that $10 mark got distributed among the Dutches. In this case, that was only Rose Petal sitting at $7.80. The rest of them were over $10, so they were ignored. As I said, in some cases you can see 6 or 7 dogs getting into the Dutches. In other times you only get a handful like this. As it happened, the second favourite, Colby Bun, won the race, so both Dutches won, both Dutches met their profit target. So that's a look at understanding how the system works. Let's have a look at it in practice and see how we go over a few of today's races. Alright, so we've got a race at Healesville coming up just a moment at 12:20. So I'll just go over here and have a look. We should see in a moment. That doesn't look like it has. Oh, it has. Okay. I must have done it just before I got there. So here in the bot we can see the double Dutch here. We can see these are the runners it's put in the race. So it's got 3 runners in this race, the 2 favourites and the third favourite by the looks of it. If we have a look, we're partway through the day's racing. So tab 1 here has the previous race had, which was this one here at also at Healesville. The winner there was by the looks of it a 3rd favourite. So double the first Dutch won, the second Dutch didn't, hence the reason we've got an 11-cent target for one Dutch and 34 cents for the other. So you can see here the prices that we've got. You can see the prices we've got and the stakes here across the Dutches. So our numbers here are 3 and 8 with 5 at Healesville.
They're moving in now, race 6 here. Anaconda Squeeze, a short price favourite. They're set to bounce. Often racing, and Anaconda Squeeze timed the start well. Began quickly, lands a length in front early from Redemption Rock and then My Bro Who. The rest have sort of jammed up a shade. Midnight Josie improving with Choji Akamichi and then Buldo. At the end, Donatello Zeal. So Redemption Rock had taken Anaconda Squeeze. Choji Akamichi late, but Redemption Rock forces clear. Redemption Rock powered away late, 1 at 2.5 to Choji Akamichi. Third Anaconda Squeeze. And then Poor Nicky over Midnight Josie, Buldo. Donatello Zeal didn't Wooden Fire. My Bro Who, one of the last in.
So number 5, so we've got another third favourite winning there, which is interesting. You can see there that Redemption Rock, number 5, we had a winner there. So Dutch 1 had a winner. So Dutch 1 still has the 11-cent target, so 10 cents plus the the commission. Dutch 2, with now 2 losses in a row, is looking at a target of $1.56. So we're looking at the next race here being Goulburn, but by the looks of it, I'll just pull up the market for Goulburn. Yeah, if we look at Goulburn, we are not in on this race for whatever reason. Because there was the amount matched in the market was only $1,000 or so. We need at least $5,000 in the market to make sure that the market is in fact a reasonable reflection of what should be happening there. So even at the jump there, it's jumped and it's not even $5,000 at the jump. So our next race will be Addington in New Zealand in a few minutes' time. So I'll just pause this here and come back for Addington. Okay, Addington coming up as well, but this one won't qualify either because we're looking at not even $1,000 in the market and nothing under $2. So the next is Healesville at 12:35, 9 minutes away. So again, pause and come back. Rightio, so we're just under a minute away from Healesville. You can see we have more than $5,000 matched in this market so far. We appear to have probably 3 runners that are going to qualify for it. Hard Press just under $2, Donegal Express $5.70, Aussie Savannah maybe, it's $7.40 now, so we'll see. We're placing these bets at about 15 seconds, 20 seconds before the race. So let's see how this goes. It should start to work out the Dutch in a moment here. Just a moment, it should decide. Here we go. So as expected, those are our 3 at 192, 580 and 720. We are looking at a target of $1.56 for Dutch 2. We're looking at a target of 11 cents for Dutch 1. So you can see the stakes are starting to grow a little bit. So 265 and 88 cents in Dutch 2, 9, 34, 11 cents Dutch 1. So you can see the stakes in Dutch 2 are starting to grow a bit as that target grows. Incidentally, I have noticed that the logic here, apart from the top 2 favourites going in the Dutch, the rest of the field, the lowest number of the rest of the field ends up in Dutch 1, and then the Dutches get spread out according to that. So 7 and 2 with 6 here down the straight at Healesville for the Croydon Homing Pigeon Club race over 350 metres.
Participants get right around that series, so that's on at the moment. They're set to run. All in now, green light, they're ready to go. Often racing, there's a massive traffic jam, and Hard Press won the jump with clean air. Out to lead Donegal Express, who keeps her off the rail. And now coming through, oh crikey, right with them. And then Aussie Savannah clear from Ferocious Sandy, Elsie Dreaming, and at the end, Headbin, but now Hard Press takes a clear lead. They'll be cheering all the way in Canamble. It's Hard Press racing away. Hard Press won at 2.5, beating a photo second, oh crikey, just getting that over Aussie Savannah, then Ferocious Sandy from Donegal Express, Elsie Dreaming, and back last Headbin, time around 19:47.
And that's good news for us with Hard Press winning. Number 7 Hard Press with a good win there. So if we have a look as we watch the bot put in the results for this race, we'll see it's number 7 Hard Press. As it just finishes putting in the results, there we go. So Hard Press won on both sides with the Dutch 2 bet at 265. It made a 241 profit. The Dutch 1 bet made a 31 cent profit. So we're now looking we're back to 11-cent target per Dutch, and you can see our profits over the Dutch. It's $1.17 so far in Dutch 1, 78 cents in Dutch 2. I don't think that we haven't had anything in tab 2 yet, so it's just tab 1. So you can see that does indeed match the overall profit so far for the day. Okey-doke, so Townsville coming up here. It looks like a nice sunny day up in Townsville. We'll have a look and see what we've got. We've got 4 runners in this race. 2 and 6 are our top 2 favourites. We've got more than that. Sorry, 3, 4, 5 runners actually. Herbie Jenkins, Project Alice, and Pinkay. You can see what I was saying earlier about the lowest number of the remainder going in there into Dutch 1, so number 3, and then the bot's worked out that it can do roughly 50 and 41% of the market per Dutch. It's about as close to even as it'll get there. Now, we are chasing an 11-cent target per Dutch here, so you can see in Dutch 1, we've got some stakes here of 26 cents, 12 cents, 6 cents, 6 cents. And in Dutch 2, we've got stakes 17 cents, 8 cents, 5 cents. So we're trying to get to that 10-cent profit out of each Dutch. So our runners, we can see there's a full field of 8. Our runners here, 2 and 6 are our top 2 favourites, with 3, 4, 8 on what's a nice sunny day up in Townsville.
Evans Cash Pirate, the favourite. Project Ellis, Half Day Hero, Pink Car. All set here for race 3, a novice over the 380. All set. Away they go, pretty line out. Cleo Blazer on the inside, fast out. Pink Car shows speed, driving forward. Half Day Hero and Cash Pirate drives up on the inside, but there's no run for it. Left and front, Half Day Hero leads by 5 to the corner. Pink Car runs to second. Cleo Blazer, Project Ellis and Not Kath, and further back Showtime Morris. But in front, it's Half Day Hero over Pink Car, Project Ellis, tight between Not.
Nutrien Equine Mobile heads to the back for take 2 of race 3. 21.99 of them up to 49 rating.
So there we go, a second favourite wins there, Half Day Hero. So that's a good result there, Half Day Hero winning. We got odds of $5.50 on that. So we will see that result in the bot in just a moment, and that should get us to our profit target in this tab, as our profit target for this tab is in fact $2. So once this results, we should in fact get this tab should close off, and we'll see bets move into tab 2. We've had a lot of races so far today that have had quite low liquidity, and this does happen early in the day, so there haven't been a lot of bets placed so far. There have been plenty of races, just not many that have actually qualified. Now that race was over on Sky 2, which may explain a little bit of why this very clear result has taken a little while to settle. But here we go, it's starting to settle now. So we'll just see it settle as these come in, bit by bit, bit by bit. Eventually, here we go, Half Day Hero. We saw that win in both cases. And here we go, $1.32 and 91 cents are our profits from the 2 Dutches overall through the races so far. So that gets us to what, $2.23 as our profit for this tab. So this tab has met its $2 target. So we've got a $2 target set here. So the next bets will go into tab 2. Townsville coming up, and as you can see, over $10,000 in this match so far, so well and truly over our $5,000 minimum. And it's the time of day now, we're starting to get into mid-afternoon where there starts to become some real interest in these. So we should see a few of these go in. So we'll just give it a few seconds and we'll see the Dutch get formed, the Dutches get formed, and here we go. So we're looking at just 3 runners here. Number 8, Tabletop, is our favourite at $1.91. Fuel the Fire, number 7 at $4.30. And number 4, Boom Baby Boom at $9.60. You can see if we have a look at the rest of the night, there's a lot of these outside $10 now, one at $230. So we're looking here at 7 and 8 with number 4. And it is looking quite nice and sunny up in Townsville. It was sunny here earlier today, but the clouds come over and it's supposed to rain later, but not Townsville. Nice sunny and warm by the looks of it up there.
Favourite an 8 table topper at 180. Way they go, back towards the tail, early table topper, fast out, Fuel the Fire to go to the front, round them quickly, table topper runs up the second, Horizontal third, Miss Moose was next, and further back we had Penadom, well back there was Showtime, Sarah, Boom Baby Boom, Divine Electra, in front it's Fuel the Fire, table topper comes out and in front, Fuel the Fire, it'll just win Fuel the Fire, over table topper, Miss Moose third, then followed by Boom Baby Boom, Horizontal, Penadom, Showtime, Sarah.
A close finish there for our top 2, 7 and 8. So number 7 wins, which is a very good result there. So certainly happy with that. Fuel the Fire, the second favourite, but certainly ran a good race. Number 8 probably just gave up too much of a lead to start with and really couldn't recover. So Fuel the Fire wins that one, and that starts off tab 2 on its way to its $2 target. It'll get the 11 cents, maybe slightly better out of both Dutches, so that'll get it to at least 22 cents. Just seeing it result now, and here we go. We have well, almost the target. Actually, fell slightly short of the target in the second Dutch, but that's right, 11 cents and 9 cents. We made 20 cents overall out of that race, which is a good result, really. So certainly that's a good indication, I think, of how things work. Now, we've seen some races here which have had quite a few runners, some that have had only a few. You do very occasionally see Dutches get placed with just the first and second favourite, but usually, especially later in the day, you get a lot more of those races with more of them in there, sometimes 5 or 6 in the Dutches. So that's a bit of a look at the system over a few races. So that gives you a bit of a look at how the bot works from one race to the next and how the Double Dutch 2 system works from one race to the next. Certainly an interesting few little races there for the middle of a Friday. Let's have a look at some results from more than just a few races on Friday. And you can see here 21 days worth of results. That's how long I've had the current settings in place. I was testing a few other settings before that, but this is how long I've had the current settings in place for Australia and New Zealand. So 21 days worth. You can see there's one day there that I didn't have any bets on because I had the bot down for maintenance. But 21 days worth of results there, and you can see there's only 1, 2, 3 down days. In each case, I've increased the staking on the next day and recovered all of the loss and gone back into profit. You can see over that period of time it's done quite nicely and just turning a fairly consistent profit there, $20-ish on a lot of those days. Take a look at a graph from the 1st of October, and this is looking at the individual Dutches over the course of a day of racing on the 1st of October. Now you can see the Double Dutch 1, so the first Dutch is in the sort of solid yellow creamish line. I probably should have selected a colour, some slightly different colours, sort of the solid creamish line. Second Dutch is the blue line, and the dotted line is the total overall. So you can see here for the first we got $45.53 out of the day. Most of the day you can see Dutch 1 and Dutch 2 are tracking pretty closely together. So most of the time the first or second favourite is winning. There's the odd occasion obviously where that's not the case. Something else has won the race, but overall they're tracking pretty well together. It looks like here there was a little spot where some real outsiders won, but it recovered nicely with a first or second favourite. Over here is where it becomes a little bit more interesting. So let's actually expand this graph out a little bit. And you can see here we get a bit of a divergence between the blue and the cream. So Double Dutch 1 has clearly had a bit of a rough trot here. It seems that it's reached a point where its target was more than what would have been a $10 sharing point at that point in time. So it's shared its target with the second Double Dutch, and by the looks of it, they've both had a winner in the next race. So the first or second favourite has won the next race. So ultimately, they came good of their own accord there, and they probably would have anyway, but by sharing that target, it's given us enough time just in case. Then they kind of track similarly, although in this case we're seeing Double Dutch 2 has a few little blips along the way. There appears to be a bit of a sharing point here as well, and Double Dutch 1 makes its target a little bit earlier than Double Dutch 2 by the looks of it, and then so the gap between the two, see the gap here, it's shrunk, so it looks like there was a little bit more profit target sharing here. So in the end of the day, the Dutch 1 has ended up just over $10, Dutch 2 30-ish, leaving us with that 45-ish profit. So you can see there a number of good days. Only 3 losses really in that 21 days, and quite easily recovered. On the subsequent day, of course, that's the great thing about the system, is that because you are able to select almost every runner in a lot of races, you end up with a very good chance of winning. And because, although in this system it is heavily relying on the first or second favourite in the way I've got it set up, it's not so dependent on it that those losing a few races in a row is a bad thing necessarily, because you can still have a third or fourth or fifth favourite win. You'll be getting some of your target off that, and eventually you'll get a first or second favourite that should get you where you want to be. Now, of course, there are other ways to set up the Double Dutches. You could be looking at having just the favourite and having the other runners sharing the load across the other Dutches, and maybe rotating the favourite between them. That's certainly a setting that you can use. You could go without the favourites if you think there's a good chance that the favourites won't be winning. Plenty of options. I've got it set up this way. This is working for me, but there's so many possibilities with this, and I'm sure that this isn't the only way to win. I'm sure there's quite a number of other ways that you could explore with this software to return winners. And now that I've got the dog system working, it's making me think maybe I want to have another go at the horse racing system. I'll think about that, but it might be something to look at some stage. Anyway, link in the description below as usual to the Double Dutch 2 dog bot, and I will see you again in the near future with something more new and exciting for you, I hope. Until then, happy punting.